Good evening and welcome to the annual awards ceremony for the writing contest sponsored by the Friends of the Chautauqua Writers Center. As our name indicates, we are an organization, a volunteer organization that supports and supplements the official institutional activities of the Writers Center. My name is Fred Zerm and I have the honor of serving as Executive Director, a title much fancier than what I actually do, of the Friends. Just a brief pitch about the Friends. In addition to the writing contest, we sponsor other activities, even in these times of pandemic. I just came from open mic, which we have every Sunday at 5. And I'll be putting a general link where you can go to our webpage and find out how to participate in those activities. Open mic is for readers and listeners, authors and listeners, 18 years of age and older. Every Thursday at 12:15, we have another Zoom event called Authors Hour, where authors who have published work, published books, who are associated with Chautauqua present their work. This week we have poet Judith Bowles reading from her new book, Unlocatable Source, and Larry I. Palmer reading from his very moving memoir. I just finished it, called Scholarship Boy, Meditations on Family and Race, a very timely work. There are some things that have finished. For instance, the contest is over and the winners have been chosen. Also, a few weeks ago, under the leadership of Norma Reese, who's there in the gallery, we had the Favorite Poem Project. Was it the 12th annual, I think? Initiated by Georgia Court, who's I believe in the audience. And Chautauquans read their favorite poems and briefly explained why they like them so much. During what I consider normal times, there are in-person and face-to-face events we usually have. Dinner with friends, a potluck for the members of the Friends. For instance, a Authors Among Us book fair on Bester Plaza, and informal critique after the Poets Brown Bag on Tuesdays, where people just come in and bring a page of writing and get some feedback. So all of those things are what keep the Friends busy, and we hope help encourage writers and promote writing at Chautauqua and beyond. That's my spiel about the Friends. Now I'll turn the program over to Beth Ann Snodgrass, who's chair for the writing contest and has done all the hard work behind the scenes. Beth Ann, your turn.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you all for participating in this rather interesting way of doing the awards. It's our first Zoom award ceremony. We can only hope it will be the only Zoom ceremony, and we can refer back to it with some humor, but at any rate, it's going to be very nice to have everybody. We can see everybody even from across the globe, and so special tip of the hat to Norma and Wally Reese for getting up early and joining us. As many of you know, the writing contest, or a writing contest, has been put on in Chautauqua for almost 90 years. The Women's Club started with poetry contests back in 1931, and I believe they've been nearly every single year since then, perhaps every single year. We are not a function of the institution, not a formal function, but the Writers Center and the institution work very closely together, and we do get a tremendous amount of support. I do want to thank Sonny Tonami for being with us this evening. Sonny is the Director of Literary Arts, and we are very grateful for his assistance in all that we do. And, you know, pay attention to him because he's got some great ideas for what's coming up here. And I won't spill the beans, but anyways, it's really going to be a lot of fun. So this season, we were lucky that we had already put this writing contest online. If we hadn't, of course, we wouldn't be here this evening. So we've got it running through the Submittable platform pretty smoothly, and this is going to allow us maybe to do some interesting things in the future as well. We are hoping to get more young people involved. That was the one disappointment this year, that we didn't, not surprising maybe, but it was disappointing. We didn't have any young adult or youth entries. And we're going to work on some projects and with Sony to see if maybe we can figure out a way to change that fact. So that's all I'm really going to say about the contests themselves. I would like to welcome our judges who were very kind to agree to be with us today. Our prose judge was Randon Billings Noble, who is on the screen somewhere. Where are you? There you are. There you are, right next to me. Randon is an essayist. Her collection, Be With Me Always, was published by the University of Nebraska Press in March of 2019. And her lyric essay chapbook, Devotional, was published by Redbird in 2017. She's had other work in the Modern Love column of the New York Times, which is fabulous because that is such a great column. So that's a real feather. And a number of other works, and she's got a new book coming out, I guess, in 2021, right? As editor of Anthology of Lyric Essays, right? Do I have that right? And then she has a book of her own, a lyric meditation on shadows, that will be coming out in 2023. So welcome, Randon, and thank you so much for being our judge in the prose portion of the contest. Our second judge, the poetry judge, is Mathias Svalina. He's the author of 7 books of poetry, most recently America at Play from Trident Books, and The Depression, a collaboration with photographer John Pack, published by Civil Coping Mechanisms. He teaches in a variety of different places, creative writing. He's the founding editor of Octopus Books. And since 2014, he has run a dream delivery service, which sounds like a whole conversation I would love to have right there. Working with the Museum of Contemporary Art in Denver, the Poetry Foundation, and University of Arizona Poetry Center. So thank you, Mathias, for participating in our contest. And we've been very, very, very privileged to have both of you. So with that, I had asked the judges and they didn't say no. So I am hoping that the judges will be willing to unmute themselves and actually announce the award winners and the awards. Randon?
Thank you all so much for coming. I am so very pleased to present the Charles Mccorkle Hauser Prize to May Kuroiwa for her prose piece, Just Like the First Time. Just Like the First Time beautifully captures the arc of a woman's life in a compressed flash format. A series of vectors, the story swirls through time and leaves the reader with the same wondering feelings as its main character. Like the sip of vodka at its beginning, Just Like the First Time will first burn and then warm you. It is both gorgeous and gutting. Please join me in welcoming May to read her work.
Hi, I'm so excited about this. And swirl is the perfect description for this piece. It's experimental, and so a bit of a warning, it can be challenging to follow, but it is the story of a woman's entire life in one paragraph. Just like the first time. She is on her first date ever, and with Jeff, the school hottie. So she's not certain what to say when he parks his car and hands her an open bottle of vodka. But she takes a sip, which burns all the way down. And suddenly, they're back in front of her parents, and he's pissed off because his car stinks of puke. So now she's with an old boyfriend, Mike, and he's scored some good shit from his job at the vets, and she likes it doggy style when she's this high. But why is the doc telling her to expect twins? She and her husband, Billy, would then have 3 children. But she doesn't think she married Billy, and she certainly doesn't remember having any kids. So she walks out of the house towards the center of town. And gosh, she's back at Mike's apartment, and he's yelling at her because the cops followed her home, and he jumps off the fire escape. So now he's on the other side of thick glass with a cast on one leg, and she's sitting with one of the twins talking to him through a handset. But that's not right. Whose kid is this? She better get home and start supper for her husband. Otherwise, Billy will be gruff. But she's got everything under control. The chickens popping in hot grease, and their youngest is in college. After attending the kids' graduation, she gets a bit lost and winds up in the local auto shop, sharing a joint with the owner, a white-haired guy with a familiar limp. Next, she knows she's splayed on top of Mike's desk in the back office, and his 5 o'clock is giving her a mean boob burn. But the nurse says that's to be expected with radiation treatments. And Billy grabs her hand, and she takes it back. And then Mike's hovering above her, and he's crying, and she doesn't see the kids. Where are my kids? And then there's a man in white saying, I'm sorry, I've done all I can. And she's feeling light and floaty and real sleepy, just like the first time she ever got high. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, May. We have to wait for the applause to die down, you know. Matthias, you're up. Will you please announce and introduce our poetry winners?
Sure. We're going to hear 3 great poems. And I just wanted to thank you all for inviting me to do this. I really appreciate being part of both the tradition and the really lively present of Chautauqua. And, and I get to brag that I'm part of the one on Zoom award ceremony, maybe. So I've got that. We've got 3 poets, and I'm going to announce all 3 and just say a little bit about the poem and then let them read it in order so I'm not bouncing in and interrupting the flow. The honorable mention goes to Pat Owen for the poem Amaryllis. And really, this was a poem that I just really deeply related to and felt very seen and present with. It pairs seed, as in the flowering seed, and solace, and shows how a poem that meditates on the ways life and beauty that flowers grant us can also be a balm for difficult times. And it demonstrates a way to work through and out of those difficulties. So that'll be Pat Owen's poem. The runner-up is May Kuroiwa's In Her Bedside Table. That poem performs a rare feat. We've already heard May read, which is fantastic to hear you read again. I'm excited. It's a work of reverential magic, and using these small objects from a loved one's life as sort of tent spokes that demonstrate, kind of in keeping with what she just read, the wide variety and expanse of what it is to be an individual. It's a little poem on the page, but a really huge poem in the scope of what it expands into and what it gives us. It's a really, really lovely poem. And the winner of the May Jean Arion Prize is Julie Phillips Brown for the poem For You, Unborn. Yay! I do a lot of muted clapping on Zoom. This is a fantastic poem, For You, Unborn. It plays out the interconnectedness of the vastly cosmic and the intimate, and sees not only universes, but multiverses in the possibility of a forming body of a child. It's a poem that flings itself into both quiet and wildness. It's like a little bit like prayer and a little bit like resignation. And through its leaping surprises, the poem carries you effortlessly into thinking images, thinking ideas, thinking experiences that you could never have in your life without that poem, which I think is the goal of any great work of art. So Pat, let's hear from you. Thank you.
This is called the Amaryllis. Last year, a fuzzy blanket. This year, an amaryllis. Gifts to encourage my girls through the gray. So you can watch for spring, my card says. The seed for all this, the solace I took in watching the amaryllis unfold in the kitchen as Ellen lay dying in the living room, checking each day for what color would emerge. Finally, one morning, a shocking pink, fresh as a new day. And now, years later, finding the hyacinth burst into blossom overnight, pink and hopeful on my breakfast table.
Thank you, Pat. May?
Okay, that was beautiful, Pat. Thank you. My poem is a personal poem, and I should just read it. In Her Bedside Table. The drawer smells of cinnamon and tea, her last bedtime cup stashed and waiting to be washed. Here's the harmonica she used to sing the sun down. The day Daddy died, it called and called past midnight. This is the Mother's Day card I made of white construction paper when I was 28 and sorry. When she saw it, she asked if she deserved such a crude and unlovely thing. I thought she'd thrown it away, but on this yellowed page, written by me in purple crayon and circled by her in ink, all the things I like best about myself, I got from you. Thank you.
Thank you, May.
Yay!
Those rowdies you were talking about, May?
We're the ones. Canvasback Cove. Yeah, that's all right. She's great.
All right. Julie.
Wow. Wow, May. Patricia, thank you so much. Those poems are beautiful. And I want to thank Chautauqua. This summer I've taken as many of the workshops as I could. And it has been an absolute lifeline for me. And it's been so meaningful to start to be a part of this community. And I thank you so much. And I see members of my workshops here, and so happy to see your faces again. I'm thrilled to share this poem, which I wrote a few weeks ago in Phil Metros's workshop. In particular, thanks to Phil and for my friends from the workshop who helped the poem find its final form. And thank you, Mathias, for those words. And for our most recent workshop. I am still devastated that workshop has come to an end. So here's the poem. It's called For You, Unborn. For you, unborn, are the smallest theft. I am dumbstruck by every possible name for you. The topography of your face, not yet begun within me, pressed beneath the arced horizon of my abdomen. All this splits. You are born, you are not. You breathe, you do not. One day I will break this poem, stud the sweep of an inlet willow with loosed characters. No one can tell how to survive. No one can tell me what I want to know. How you might still be one day. How then I will write the elegy for every universe in which you are not born, in which you lived but died. Who can tell which reality is cruel or plain, whether worlds replete with you will repay this measure of sorrow each time the record of the universe skips on cosmic dust, on. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks to all of you. This turned out to be really an amazingly moving event. I really thought maybe we would be sorry that we got stuck doing this on Zoom, but it's been absolutely wonderful. And I thank you all for participating and being able to be with us. Thank you certainly to all of you who contributed, the submitters, the winners, the judges, everybody. It's been great. You want to unmute everybody, Fred? Including yourself?
They have to unmute themselves. I can mute them, but I can't unmute them.
Okay.
Everybody unmute and let's have a final huzzah, okay? Unmute and. Yay.
Hey, way to go. Very nice.
And
folks.
thank you to Beth Ann for all her hard work.
Yes, Beth Ann.
It's really my pleasure. I mean, this really is like the icing on the cake. It's just so great to hear these poems, and you all read beautifully. It was just fantastic.
Great, great. I'm gonna stop the recording, but everybody's welcome to hang out a little bit and chat. You can send personal chats, or you can do general chats or whatever, but this has been great. Thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We enjoyed it.
Yeah.